Welcome to Module 2, the Rules for Allergen Information, part of HSQC's Food Allergy Awareness Training. In this module, we will identify which legislation underpins food information provisions, the main 14 allergens which consumers must be informed about, how information about allergens should be communicated to consumers for both pre-packed and non-pre-packed foods. The rules for allergen information. Any business that manufactures or supplies food must make sure that the food that they provide is safe to eat. The labelling and information that's provided on the food, including the setting in which the food is displayed, must not mislead consumers. Food must also not be provided or sold if it is unsafe, or injurious to health or unfit for human consumption. Objectives. Identify which legislation underpins food information provisions. Identify the main 14 allergens which consumers must be informed about. Understand how information about allergens should be communicated to consumers for both pre-packed and non-pre-packed foods. Food information legislation. The EU Food Information to Consumers Regulation EU FIC, introduced in December 2014, sets out the way allergen information must be provided to consumers. The EU FIC is enforced by local authorities under the Food Information Regulations 2014, FIR. The Food Standards Agency, FSA, is responsible for food safety and food hygiene in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. However, local authorities are responsible for monitoring and enforcing food safety regulations in their local area to ensure that standards are met. Food Business Operator (FBO) duties. Food businesses must follow the allergen information rules, which are set out in Regulation EU number 1169/2011 on the provision of food information to consumers, EU FIC. This means FBOs must provide allergen information to the consumer for both pre-packed and non-pre-packed food and drink, handle and manage food allergens adequately. The 14 allergens, as listed in Annex 2 of the EU FIC. Cereals containing gluten, namely wheat, such as spelt and Khorasan wheat, rye, barley and oats. Crustaceans, egg, fish, peanuts, soybeans, milk, nuts, namely almond, hazelnut, walnut, cashew, pecan nut, Brazil nut, pistachio nut, and macadamia nut or Queensland nut. Celery, mustard, sesame seeds, sulfur dioxide and or sulfites if they are at a concentration of more than 10 parts per million, lupin, and mollusks. Consumers may be allergic or have intolerance to other ingredients, but only these 14 substances are required to be declared as allergens by food law. Food additives and processing aids. The allergen information rules apply to the main 14 allergens listed in Annex 2, which are used as food additives or processing aids and are still present in the final product. Processing aids and food additives are substances which are not consumed as a food, but are intentionally used in food production to perform a technological purpose, either directly in the food or during its treatment and processing. For example, sulfites, which are often used to preserve dried fruit, might still be present after the fruit is used to make chutney. Omission of the list of ingredients. There is no need for an additional allergen declaration for food consisting of a single ingredient where the name of the food is identical to the ingredient name, or the name of the food enables the nature of the ingredient to be clearly identified. For example, a box of eggs or a bag of peanuts. However, where the name of the food is less familiar, allergen information must be provided. For example, gingerly oil is sesame oil, therefore it must be labelled contains sesame. Pre-packed food. Food is considered pre-packed when it is put into packaging before being offered for sale and is either fully or partly enclosed by the packaging, cannot be altered without opening or changing the packaging, is ready for sale to the final consumer or mass caterer. Most pre-packed foods are sold in retail outlets such as supermarkets. Examples of these include tinned food, ready-made meals, and frozen food products. Allergen information for pre-packed food. With some exceptions, pre-packed food must have an ingredients list, which can be identified by a suitable heading and includes the word ingredients. Any of the 14 allergens must be emphasized in a way that clearly distinguishes these from the rest of the ingredients every time they appear in the ingredients list. For example, allergens can be highlighted in bold. From the 1st of October 2021, pre-packed for direct sale (PPDS) food requires the name of the food and a full ingredients list with the allergens emphasized. For example, in a retail environment, non-pre-packed food includes food which is sold loose from a deli counter, such as cold meats, cheeses, quiches, pies and dips, fresh pizza, fish, salad from a salad bar, bread sold in bakery shops, etc. In a catering environment, non-pre-packed food includes food ready for consumption, such as meals served in a restaurant, cafe, or purchased from a takeaway. Pre-packed for direct sale, PPDS. PPDS food is food that is packed before being offered for sale by the same food business to the final consumer, on the same premises, on the same site, on other premises if the food is offered for sale from a movable and/or temporary premises, such as marquees, market stalls, mobile sales vehicles, and the food is offered for sale by the same food business who packed it. Identifying what food is PPDS. For a food to be PPDS, it must meet all of the following criteria. 1. Is the food presented to the consumer in packaging? 2. Is it packaged before the consumer selects or orders it? 3. Is it packaged at the same place it is sold? If the answers to all three questions above are yes, the food is PPDS, pre-packed for direct sale. Non-pre-packed food. Non-pre-packed foods include foods sold loose in retail outlets, foods which are not sold pre-packed, such as meals served in a restaurant and food from a takeaway, pre-packed for direct sale food, PPDS, such as sandwiches placed into packaging by the food business and sold from the same premises, food packed on the sales premises at the consumer's request, such as a sandwich prepared in front of the consumer. Allergen information for non-pre-packed foods. Allergen information must be provided for each food that contains any of the 14 allergens. Allergen information may be provided by any means the FBO chooses, for example, in writing or orally. There must be clear signposting to where consumers can obtain this information when it is not provided up front. Allergen information for distance selling. Allergen information must be provided if food is sold through distance selling, for example online or by phone. This must be done at 2 stages in the process. Before the purchase of the food is completed, this could be in writing, for example on a website, catalogue or menu, or orally, for example by phone. It must be done the moment the food is delivered. This could be in writing, for example on allergen stickers on food or enclosed hard copy of the menu, or orally, for example by phone. As best practice, the allergen information should be available to a customer in a written form at some point between a customer placing the order and receiving the delivery. Takeaway meals should be labelled clearly so customers know which dishes are suitable for those with an allergy.